So the Genius Stablecoin Act has passed the Senate, which is obviously a big win for the industry. But a lot of people don't actually know that this is not the end. There is 2 more very important steps. And you might be thinking that it's extremely bullish and we're going to the moon from here. But I just want to give you a perspective. What is the Genius Act? Why it is relevant? Why it is actually very important and bullish on the long run? But why it actually doesn't really matter on a short term. So if that sounds good, guys, smash the like button, obliterate the like button. In fact, let me know in the comment if you're here. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Fefe. I actually bring you the best of the best alpha here. I bring you trades like these. I bring you threads. I bring you explanations of things that you might not know and much more. So go and follow me on X and subscribe to the channel and do all that stuff. Let's jump into it. First off, big day. So we do have almost 700 million in inflows into the ETFs, and bubbles look actually quite bullish on the day. Now you might be seeing there is something new in the bubbles here. One, super cool, big ass shout out to the team. A new thing, one of the things that I always told you about is the newsroom. Now you can not only just have the newsroom of 60 researchers handpicking news for you, but you can actually connect the newsroom to your watch list. So if you have a watch list of Bitcoin and ETH and XRP and whatever you might be following, you can just create a watch list and see only the news, aggregated news from Cointelegraph and also news from us researchers relating to your token. It's actually quite cool. Check them out. There is stocks and crypto as well. Both are phenomenal upgrades on there. So, stablecoin legislation, Genius Act, clears vote in the Senate. Now moves to the floor for debate. Now here's how things work and why it is relevant. There is the Stablecoin Act, Genius Act, which is basically guiding and establishing a national innovation for US stablecoins of 2025, right? This is the Genius Act of 2025. And the whole idea behind it is to define payments of stablecoins, establish clear procedures for institutions seeking licenses to issue stablecoins, for example, 𝗙𝗘𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙, implement reserve requirements and light touch tailored regulations and much more. So there is actually a complete highlight here what the Genius Act really is, and then we're going to get into why it is actually super important. So definition of payment stablecoins. The bill defines payment stablecoins as a digital asset designed for payments. The problem is, if you want to pay with stablecoins, how do you convert it into dollar? What do you know, there are DPEGs on these stablecoins. Maybe it's just a fraction, but if you make, hundreds of millions in volume, it can get actually different. What happens with that different? Is that marginal cost, or like a lot of questions regarding stablecoin payments when it comes to this. Licensing and oversight. So legislation. How do you have to keep these stablecoins? How do you prove, proof of reserve? Who can actually verify that you do have the backing for the stablecoin that you issue? All that kind of stuff. Reserve requirements. Again, how are you going to keep it? Banks actually don't require to keep 100% of your capital that you put in there. You can actually just keep maybe 10% of the banks can keep 10% of your capital and can lend the rest 90 out. Now, this is obviously not going to be the case here, but they will need to maintain a one-on-one, at least one-on-one. Transparency, how you will be able to verify these companies, and a bunch of other things like this bill outlines. Now, this act is super important. Not only, or it still is, but also was super important. And it's not only because it's good for us crypto folks, but also because it paves a way for a very, very important path towards mass crypto adoption. So we're talking about stablecoins now, and specifically we're talking about US stablecoins, but don't forget that the US always has and will lead the way when it comes to different regulations and innovations. So if the US will present this act and actually get it approved, the Genius Act, it is going to be one of the most bullish things for crypto on the long run for crypto, but also specifically for digital payments and implementing digital payments, and therefore obviously getting a massive exposure into crypto. What is also super interesting that it is very bullish for certain projects. For example, the long forgotten ETH, because we have been very bullish on Solana, memes and AI agents and all that, and it's cool. But if you think about the fact that ETH still have most of the stablecoin volume, so on ETH or on ETH layer 2s, run most of the stablecoin volume, which is super important. So as it says, ETH given the stablecoin robust DeFi infrastructure and long-running institutional rapport. Sol won't be far behind, and 𝗘𝗪𝗏 is the ignored dark horse. Now, if you go down here, you'll be able to see. why is it lagging here? You'll be able to see this top stablecoin by chains. It's the 5-year. Ethereum is leading up here at 117 billion. Tron coming in at 74, which is like 30% lower, 40% lower. And the Solana is just a fraction. So it's all Tron and ETH. And although, yeah, we send USDC on Sol because it's cool and fast and because we use Phantom, but in general, most of the big transactions, I genuinely use Tron. So if I send something from an exchange, I just pick TRC20 because it's just the easiest thing to do. Fast as cheap, whatever that might be. So these chains, Tron and ETH, and the infrastructure on Tron and ETH will definitely benefit this act. Now, guys, I'd like to just ask you, if you're here, say hi in the chat here, and also do not forget to actually like the show. We're not gonna stop and do all that stuff that we usually do, but I'd like you to just say hi here and like the show and let me know what's really happening. I want to jump back in here in a second and just continue. I've got a bunch of offer lined up for you because this is not the only way. What's good? What's good? Chart Pro, I see in the chat. Arturo Luna, Georgios Germanos, I see you in the chat. Hello, Dre, GM. Jens Reyes, see you as well. So Fefe, Loza, what's happening? Michael, what's happening? Umar Ahmed, yo, bro. Thomas, hi from France. Coffee time. France, I actually have a Monaco crypto conference ticket for you, but we need to get to like 350 likes. And then we just gotta figure it out. What about Prague? Purge. What about Purge? I don't know. Nothing about Purge. All right. Let's go. Big stuff happening. So, 𝗙𝗘𝗙𝗙𝗪 here says that passing the Genius Act would be good for America. Americans, the dollar, banks, and all sizes, fintech startups, and rule-based crypto. If Democrats oppose this bill, who is, by the way, like a devoted Democrat, 𝗙𝗘𝗙𝗪, okay, which puts checks, balances, on all actors, it is political suicide. Let's end technology, gradualism in Washington. So everybody seems to be aligned on the fact that this Genius Act should be pushed through. And so it did pass Senate yesterday, which is, again, of course, big news, but that's not necessarily what we need to focus on. Why? Because there is still more work to do. There's another formal vote on this Genius in the Senate, and there is something called stable in the House that still needs to be passed. Now, I didn't understand it, I'll be very honest with you, before today, so I think it's gonna be news for you as well. Hopefully, it's gonna be something that you value. The way a bill becomes law is the following. A bill is proposal for a new law or a new change to an existing law. There's an idea, and then sitting member of the US Senate or House presents this bill, okay? They recommend it. And there's a bill introduction happening, and once it's introduced, it is assigned to a committee whose members will research, discuss, and make changes to this bill. Okay, so they kind of come up with this whole idea on how to present this bill, okay? And then the bill is put forward to that chamber to be voted on. So that chamber will vote when there is an advancement in that bill. So for example, they come forward and they say, hey, I want a stablecoin legislation. We want to work on this. And then they assign a committee members to this, and then they vote on it to actually go forward. And then if the bill passes one of the body Congress, it goes to the other body. Now, this is where we are now. The bill then put before a chamber to be voted on. And this is what happened. So the Senate voted on this specific bill. And this basically means that they can start discussing the in-depth details to this bill to then potentially take it in front of the president. Okay, but this is a long process. You have to understand it. Then at the same time, there is the House, which is the other governing body, right? They are much more focused on the people, and they need to create their own version of this bill as well. How do they see it fit for the American public? How do they protect the American public the best? How do they present this bill to the American public the way it would be best fit for the people, okay? So that's what the House does. And then when this whole thing goes through, the Senate votes 2 times. The reason why they usually vote 2 or even more times about the same bill is because there are different angles to a bill that need to be addressed. There was 1 vote now. There is 1 small vote happening on the Genius Act again. Most likely it's going to be a pass. But there is another one, which again, talking about the House, which is the Stable Act of 2025. Now again, it's very important you understand that these things have served the same purpose from 2 different government bodies. There's the House and the Senate. So if the Senate now passed this, that is incredible. They can start ideating on it. But we need the House to pass this Stable Act of 2025, which outlines their understanding and their approach to creating stablecoin legislation. If that passes as well, that gives a clear path for the Senate and the House to work together on creating this bill, finalizing this bill, and putting it in front of the president. So why is this important? Because this bill has, it's not going to be different, but it is something that the House need to pass. It's very, very similar to what we had. Establish a regulatory framework for payment stablecoins, balance innovation with strong consumer protection. Again, as I said, the House mostly focuses on how they can protect the people and give value to the people. Ensure the US remains at the forefront of digital asset development, provides clear regulatory guidance, works to modernize the US payment system. So they approach it very, very nicely. But one thing you have to understand, whether it's the Senate, whether it's the House, it's all about Trump wanting to make stable coins regulated and legal. And I've tweeted this on March 20th, about 2 months ago. And I said, I've been telling you for a month at that time, or maybe even more before Trump even got into office. It's all about stables to strengthen the US dollar. It is good for crypto long term, so that's also very good. Us in the small echo chamber, we're celebrating because more stablecoin legislation, more understanding about how blockchains work, more understanding on how cryptocurrencies work, potentially more Web3 integrations into banks and government entities, potentially more, wallets and all that education on that to the general public from the government. It's obviously very good for us. But in general, it's very, very good for the United States because the strengthening of the stable coins. And I want you to listen to this from David Sachs. And actually, let me just play this from Trump.
You will unleash an explosion of economic growth. You will unleash an explosion of economic growth, and with the dollar-backed stablecoins, you'll help expand the dominance of the U.S. dollar. And many, many years to come, it'll be at the top, and that's where we're stablecoins. An explosion of economic growth, and with the dollar-backed stablecoins, you'll help expand the dominance of the U.S. dollar. And many, many years to come, it'll be at the top, and that's where we want to keep it. We only want to keep it at the top, always.
So this is what it is. So stablecoins, his plan from the very beginning was to use stablecoins to strengthen the US dollar. And this is what David Sachs said.
Working with both the House and Senate on stablecoin legislation.
So this is what just passed on both the House and the Senate. They're working on stablecoin legislation.
Senator Haggerty introduced a bill today. This stablecoins really have the potential to ensure American dollar dominance internationally, to increase the usage of the U.S. dollar digitally as the world's reserve currency.
As the world's reserve currency. Pay attention to the details.
And in the process, create potentially trillions of dollars of demand for U.S. treasuries, which could lower long-term interest rates.
Exactly. That's the point. And this is exactly where I want to lead this whole thing into. Now, there is 1.1% of the total US dollar supply is tokenized on chain. You might be thinking that's nothing, but 1% of the entire dollar supply is already on chain, and they don't have a legislation. Imagine how freaking crazy that is. So that is actually extremely bullish. And exactly as David Sachs has said it here, the stablecoins will benefit US treasuries. Why is that actually important, and how that will impact the yields and the whole economic situation that we're discussing? Couple of things. Number one, stablecoin issuers will back the stablecoin supply with short-term US treasury bills. So the way it works is that the government basically sells bonds and then finances all its operations, right? Sells the debt, basically. So there is a yield on that. More people want to buy bonds, the less the yield is. I don't want to go into the calculations, but if you have $1,000 worth of bonds and it pays a fixed fee of like 5%, if the bond price goes up, let's say because increased demand, the bond will become $2,000. The 5% will still be 5% fixed, and therefore of the fixed amount, therefore it will be lower yield. So it will be a fixed amount, lower yield. If you double the bond price, the yield will come down half. And what we discussed for a long time now is that the US Treasury bills will be essential when it comes to stablecoin issuers, and most likely will be included in the legislation itself. So it will be probably, again, we don't know, but most likely included in the law that the US stablecoin issuers by law will be required to purchase and park their backing, so the US dollar that backs one-on-one the stablecoins, in treasury bills. Multiple reasons. One of the main reasons is because treasury bills considered safe. So they're a safe investment, they don't default, they yield you very little, but they're very, very stable. And two, it is very good for the United States, not only because they're going to have a stable coin that is going to be accessible worldwide. If you go on to different countries, less developed countries, you cannot get dollars. Like, you literally are not allowed to purchase dollars. Even if you look at Europe, if you want to buy $1,000 on countries that do not have the euro standard, for example, if you want to exchange your local currency into the US dollar above $1,000, you need to report your ID, your passport. They write you up and they keep track of who has how much US dollars. It's very, very difficult process. And in some of the places you can't even get exposure to it. But at the same time, your currency is basically devaluing and inflating like crazy. So basically what it means is that the US companies that issue US-backed stablecoins will own a big portion of the US debt, will own a big portion of US treasuries. And if you look at even now already, and again, we don't even have the legislation, Tether, the company behind USDT, owns almost as much US treasuries as Germany or the UAE or South Korea or Saudi Arabia, and Norway's a little bit higher now, but it approaches Saudi Arabia, South Korea, UAE, Germany, their holdings of US treasuries, which is quite impressive. Now, these companies don't screw around. So Tether has 120 billion in US treasuries already now. Circle, they have 60 billion in reserve, and out of the 60 billion, the report shows that they have about 24 billion, so about one quarter of, or almost almost half of their reserve is already in US treasuries. Which is, again, a very good indication that there will be a massive growth, which is predicted to be about $2 trillion by 2030. So stablecoins could grow to $2 trillion by 2030 in response to continued market and regulation breakthroughs. Now, I actually think this is lowballing it. So if you consider the fact that 2 trillion would be, I don't actually know, let me see, what's the total stablecoin supplies? 230. Oh, so that's 10x. Yeah, that's 10x in 5 years. That's possible. So it's 2 trillion, about $2 trillion dollars. Now, what is important to note here, also, you might be thinking, yeah, but we have Visa and it's still nothing and whatever. The total volume on stablecoins in the last 30 days. First of all, it's up 114%, absolutely fucking wild. But also 3.7 trillion in the last 30 days. Now, if you consider the fact that last year stablecoin payments were higher than Visa payments, the volume was higher than Visa, I was thinking about what would ChatGPT say, and ChatGPT said that Visa had about 3 trillion transactions on the second quarter. So that means that USD stablecoins, so US dollar-backed stablecoins, have the same amount or higher amount of volume per month than Visa has in a quarter. And again, I'm just circling back again and again that there is still no legislation. Now, how does this whole thing relate to treasury bills again? It relates because the problem with treasury bills is that, and this is what Trump is also fighting with, that if treasury bills, the bonds are basically, so the government acquires money by issuing bonds, right? So people buy these bonds, the government won't default, basically they buy the debt and they get a yield on that, and the government pays back that debt from their GDP, from all that stuff that from taxes, they pay it back to the people who buy the bonds. The problem with the bonds is that they're very low yield, but also very freaking stable. So you can be sure that you're getting that 5% no matter what, right? The problem is that if the bonds yields are high, meaning there is high expectation of return, there is no, and basically money guarantee, except the inflation of your US dollars, there is no real need and interest in investing into the stock market or investing into risk assets. Therefore, high yield will always crash the stock market and always result in the stock market not being that attractive. And this is what 𝗙𝗘𝗙𝗙 is saying as well, that Trump is fighting basically the bond market. Despite countless efforts to calm yields, they keep rising. The 10-year note yield is now up 35 basis points May alone, back to 4.5%. Now, if I'm saying that I can get 4.5% on my basically guaranteed investments, why on earth would I go and gamble on Tesla, for example, that was down 60% in 3 months? And that's probably a lot of people's thinking. Now, the good thing about this is that bonds and yields are inversely correlated. So as the bond prices go up because there is increased demand, the yield is less because it's fixed. So if there is more people who want to buy bonds or more institutions like stablecoin issuers, the yields will come down at some point. What is the other way of bringing yields down? It's actually starting something called quantitative easing. This is basically the Fed started to cut rates and started to buy back its own bonds. And by buying back, it increases the prices, and increased prices will bring lower yield and therefore make the stock market much more attractable. So that is the basic plan here. And the idea behind is that they will be able to, stablecoin issuers will provide a constant demand for US Treasuries and therefore basically cement that the US Treasuries yield will stay relatively low, below 4%. That would be acceptable as less risk to the government and all that. So this is the idea behind. I hope this makes a lot of sense. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a fantastic thing to just kind of understand and why this is important, and then just keep an eye on when the stablecoin or the stable passes house, because whenever that happens, that basically makes it makes it guaranteed that this whole thing will pass and go in front of the president. And even though it will take a lot of time, it is on the path to happen, and it's no surprise that World 𝗙𝗍𝗘 also launching USD1 and whatnot. So, Fefe, you think the next 14 days crash, or we saw a spot high buy lower? I think we're crashing. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Packing the alpha in like always. Thank you. Guys, I want to tell you one thing, which I wanted to tell you for such a long time, but I didn't because I forgot. So we have something called the newsletter. You might have not known about it, but it's a banter newsletter. I didn't know for a long time. And it's actually very, 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 very cool. So it comes out every single day. You can sign up, and if you don't really have time to watch the shows, or you rather read stuff, or you just want to summarize it with ChatGPT, this is another input with different results, whether it's charts, whether it's news, and just boiling down things like, again, the downgrade, what it is and why it's important. I do recommend you sign up to the newsletter, and whether it's wait for you to do it, because if you can just sign up, and if you don't like it, if you don't think it's value for you, you can always unsubscribe. But I think limiting yourself from actually getting extra information is not the right way to go about it. So you can see here we have two things. One of them is daily candle. I am going to be posting charts in here as well, so it's worth, again, just get a different approach. All the banter hosts are contributing a chart here, so it's worth, again, just click in here and subscribe. It's completely for free. And then Good Morning Crypto as well. This is the news outlet, as I said, boiling things down and making it understandable. Sometimes we don't have time to talk about things on the show and whatnot. So please, please, please go down to the description. I'm going to wait 2 seconds for everybody to do it. You know what? I'm actually going to make it worthwhile for you. So if we get 200 signups today for both, I'm going to give away $200 tomorrow on the show. Let's do this. If we get 200 signups to both newsletter, takes you a click. I'm gonna give away $200, okay? 200 both. It's not one, both 200. So do it now. We have 600 people watching here. You scroll down in the description. Cause I'm just gonna copy this in so it's easier for people to access it. Can you just pin this, please? Kaz pinned it. Good job, Kaz. Here. So you can just go into the live chat and just simply see it there. Let's see some of the, until you do this, I'm just gonna read some of the comments. I'm shorting Dogecoin, good. What stops governments from issuing more bonds though? Then bonds yield will go up again. Like, that's the thing. That's why we have quantitative tightening, right? Quantitative tightening means that they're requiring more, they're issuing more, right? They don't want to buy back, they don't want to inject money into the economy. So they can inject more bonds and yields will go up at some point, but they have it very limited. There's like a structure in how they can do it. There's an auction, it's like a whole thing. So yeah, what's up, short everything 100x, don't do that, but blink twice if we're going up. At some point, we are going up, bro. So, you know, someone calls for up all the time, they will be right at some point. Signed up last week, inverse Fefe 99 divided club. That's so smart comment, bro. So smart. I need that. Fefe, I asked if everything coming down, why don't sell spot? Because we don't know if it's coming down, bro. ultimately I'm extremely bullish. Like I think we're up only, but there can be a 15% flush. It's just not worth gambling on spots. Just hold spot. I'm 67% in. Shorting the shit out of the fort. We'll fall like crazy. Drink the pump juice. Sally may go away. We barely got 200 lies. They won't do it. I mean, it's their loss, bro. It's their loss. Honestly, I don't gain anything other than recognition. I don't get anything from you subscribing. Like, it's free. It's literally free alpha. We spend thousands and thousands of dollars a month on this just to give you guys good things. So like, it's stupid not to subscribe to these newsletters. Smash them likes for Fefe play opera music. Where are we going today? Yeah, we're gonna do that. I just shorted 𝗠𝗢𝗙. 𝗠𝗢𝗙 is such a strong one, so I would not short it. Let me just look at the total though. So have you guys actually seen Bento Bubbles? Actually quite cool. I'm actually very impressed. Josh pinged me and he was like, "Hey, we've got a new thing," and and also follow Josh here. Let me just give you. I'm officially gonna follow Josh back. Josh played games with me. He unfollowed me and he muted me. Let me just Josh the trader. Why don't I find Josh here? Josh is trading. Josh is trading. Let me just see. Josh is trading. So I follow back because he pinged me about his Bento Bubbles thing. I'm just gonna officially follow Josh back. He was playing games with me. He unfollowed and he muted me. Guys, can you imagine that? Josh muted the best X profile on the planet. Anyway, go and follow Josh and just spread his whatever. He has this comment. He has this thing here. Just go and comment Fefe is the best. Okay, just go here and just say, Fefe is the best, or we love Fefe, just do that. He'll be very happy about it. But shout out to him. Like, I think actually it's pretty amazing that you can create a watch list here, and then you can filter news based on your watch list. Like, I can literally just come here, I can create a watch list. I can pick like Bitcoin and you know, Ethereum and Tether and whatever XRP, and then it will just, I go save watch list too, and the news will be filtered based on my preferences. It's actually mind-blowing. So it's pretty incredible. All right, cool. Guys, a couple of things. Let's go on to some random news that I want to talk about, and then just an FYI, we're going to do a bunch of charting now. So if you want to know, you know, what trades to take and all that, we're gonna do. Say again? Yeah, Cuz is going to pin it now, but we do have a bunch of alpha dropping for you in the 𝗙𝗪𝗏 Club, which is my trading channel. We are upping this channel like crazy. All my charting is going to be on here, so there is a link in the description, and Cuz actually pinned it just right here, so you can see it. Cuz is going to pin it now, so you can just go on there, subscribe to that channel, and after this we are going to go onto the 𝗙𝗪𝗏 Club and do the charts. But until then, I have some crazy stuff happening here that I wanted to tell you. One of the things is that Moody actually downgraded different things as well. So they downgraded JP Morgan, they downgraded Bank of America, they downloaded. Did I say downloaded? Did I say downloaded? That's kind of retarded. So JP Morgan, they downgraded JP Morgan, they downgraded Bank of America, they downgraded Wells Fargo. So what is interesting is that they're coming out and they're like, you know, we're downgrading everything, bruv, everything. So they're going on this downgrading madness. Just in JP Morgan won't custody Bitcoin, but will let clients buy it, says Jamie motherfucking Dimon. Congratulations for the guy coming along. This guy was bashing Bitcoin for years and years and years, and now he has to eat his own medicine. The ice cream licks back now because he's been told by his daddy, Larry Fink, he said like, Jamie, you gotta do one for the team. You gotta do one for the team. So he goes, Bitcoin is still shit, but I'm gonna let you buy it through JP Morgan. So it's happening. Bybit, big ass shout out to our friends at Bybit because they are the first major crypto exchange to offer direct global stock trading with USDT. So now you're able to trade Apple, Tesla, Amazon, 78 top stocks straight in your Bybit account. Pretty incredible. Congratulations to Bad and the team. Circle is selling, seems like. Informal talks, you know what that means. To be acquired by Coinbase and Ripple. Circle issuing USDC. So it's actually a big thing. They are so freaking smart, to be honest. Like if they sell out now, it's the perfect time to sell out. The perfect time to sell out and exit. So they're in informal talks with Coinbase and Ripple. Now Coinbase has the upper hand. I think they have some deals going on that gives them the upper hand. But ultimately, they are talking to Ripple as well. Now, I personally just hope it's going to be Coinbase that is acquiring Circle, if any. Shout out to Gemini. They came out with a Bitcoin credit card with 4% interest, which is not 4% cashback in Bitcoin instantly. So you spend with this card and you got, is that a Cybertruck? Cybertruck. They're advertising him as Cybertruck. Good. Anyway, this is happening. Interesting to look at. MicroStrategy was hit with a class action lawsuit for allegedly misleading statements tied to its Bitcoin strategy and 5.9 billion unrealized Q1 loss. Now, if you've been watching the shows, if you've been following me on X, you know that there was a controversy around MicroStrategy and strategy when there was an accounting how do you say that nicely? An accounting measure they had to take, and that resulted in an almost $6 billion loss on the company's balance sheet. And they didn't actually tell that to their investors. They only positioned themselves as very bullish, and that rippled into a class action lawsuit, which is not that good if you ask me, but it is happening. And then finally we have Russia and Ukraine potentially coming to the table and start talking to each other and start making up a deal which would put peace in the region at least. And then I also tweeted, and a lot of you probably wondering like why and how and this and that. I said long's gonna get destroyed in the next 14 days in my honest opinion. Couple of reasons. I'm gonna tell you all about it on the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Club. But ultimately, the big reason is Jim Cramer said that, you know, Bitcoin's a good hedge. So that's just what it is. No, I'm just joking. But he did say that, which is a very bad sign for bulls because Jim Cramer is never right and you always have to counter trade him. But also there are some very juicy stuff like the 𝗙𝗘𝗙𝗘, the Nasdaq, basically reached its most overbought level since July. Okay, so it's I mean it's not good. I would just say it's just again very greedy, very greedy oriented. But I also think there is a pullback coming. So I do think it's not worth touching your spot bags, but I do think a pullback is coming, and I do think that this is a new, you know, like a dump is coming. Now I have a free Telegram. It's completely free for everyone. It's like a paid group, but it's free. I share with you all the alpha that I have, all the charts that I take, every step that I'm doing here. We took a Bitcoin short yesterday. It's just coming back to our break even. I share with you my trades. I share with you everything else. I'm gonna have crazy good stuff for you here, exclusive stuff. So I approved everyone yesterday. I was like, I'm a cool kid. So there's 10 people waiting now. If you want in, there is a link here that says Fefe's, join Fefe's crypto Telegram channel. You can just click on this because it's going to pin it, and then you will be able to just join in here completely for free for now and just get access to my thoughts. Other than that, guys, we have a vlog, check that out as well. But what I wanted to say is that we do have the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Club live coming up. So if you are around, if you want to see, I started saying the charts, yes, if you want to see the charts, well, it's gonna be on the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Club. I'm literally just going to jump in here. We take a 2-minute water fill break. There's 47 people waiting here already. It's absolutely incredible. Go and smash the like here, leave a comment, and I'm gonna jump in there and do all the charts. I hope everybody's happy. You can see it here, my Telegram. Go and join that. And yeah, I think so. It says I think it's called accounting fraud. No, it's just completely legal. They just missed that there was gonna be a 6 billion unrealized. You know, but they're up 80 billion this league. Like, cut them some slack, bro. But they're going to win the class action, I think, in my opinion. Big man Fefe, what's good? Bye. Thanks for the show. Always. Nitro Bunny, bye. Much love. Get your asses to the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Club. That's what's up, guys. Truly appreciate you. Make sure to smash the like button. Check out these 2 videos. One of them will be the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Club live. So even if you're rewatching, go and check that out for trade setups. Click here to subscribe, and I believe I will see you in the next one. Take care.